Hi folks, it is Monday. Welcome to some Hobby Nightmares. Hope you've had a wonderful weekend. We are enjoying a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, but there's no day off, no rest for the wicked. For Northern Exile, I am here doing you some videos and doing some recording, writing some scripts. Hope you're having a wonderful time. And if you're not having a bank holiday weekend, then I'm very sorry that you're in work and you're working, but hopefully it can get you through the day a little bit quicker. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. The Patreon button is also down below. And also, if you're going to be getting any models or anything like that over the next couple of weeks, make sure you head over to Composite Games, use the promo code Northern Exile down below to get yourself 5% off your order at checkout. It also helps out the channel a little bit as well. So, moving on, there are two stories today, one of whom I have been reliably told will make my blood boil, but we will see. We will see. And it ends in probably the most spectacular way we've ever ended a story, but I will get into that later. But I've not read it yet. I've been told not to read it till I was online, so here I am. But anyway, first one is from somebody called Spike. He says, after listening to your videos for a while, I figured I'd send in a story of my own. For the purpose of the video call, me, Spike. Alright, have done. He says, hi, exiled northerner. Hello. I've been in the hobby with my three friends since 2011, when we were 13. Let's call them Johnny and Timmy. For anybody who recognises the combination of the names, yes, the link is deliberate, and we all fit these three archetypes. Okay, I don't know what you mean, but I'm assuming people listening will know what you mean. And the last one will be Jake, although he was always less involved in Warhammer stuff than the rest of us. Timmy is Johnny's older brother, and so wasn't at school with us, where the events of this story took place. We started with Warhammer Fantasy and were completely clueless about the rules. Johnny claimed to have played the game before when he was younger, and so taught us the rules. We started with just a couple of box sets of models, Johnny with lizardmen and me with Warriors of Chaos. Jake had an old box set I can't remember the name of, as it was before our time, in which he had a troll and a bunch of night goblins. We didn't even have a rule book at this point. We started playing small games in the Warhammer Club at our school. I used inverted commas as it was basically just us playing in a large cupboard upstairs near some staff offices, with Johnny teaching us how to play initially, though we quickly realised he had no idea what he was talking about, and then got the rule book so we could start playing properly. There's always a friend who does that. There's always a friend who says, oh, I've done this before. Oh, don't worry. At all ages. It doesn't just stop. It's all dudes as well. It's always dudes. But it never stops, even when you get older. Not just when you're kids. You'll always have that one friend, oh, I've done this before, I'll show you how to do it. And then you're like, dude, you don't know how to do this. You got no idea how to do this. This is where things started getting suspicious. Okay. We all got very good at memorising unit rules and abilities very quickly, especially me. But not long in, Johnny would constantly forget to bring in his army book, and he would constantly win games by a massive margin due to abilities we didn't expect, such as claiming that his Saurus warriors could throw their spears, or that Cold One riders had 2 wounds each. Though the one that made us start to smell a rat was when he claimed his Stegodon had impact hits from some sort of horn attack. When I started googling the rules in my spare time, he simply claimed that they were in a separate abilities book that he kept leaving at his dad's house. Being still new to this and completely clueless and frankly gullible 14-year-olds, I believed him initially. Eventually, I cottoned on to the fact he was talking out of his arse, and called him out for it, for which we were chastised for not trusting him. Yeah, that's a typical smokescreen, man. I really hope this guy grew out of that. I really hope he grew out of that. There are a lot of friends, well, not a lot of friends, but there's a few friends of mine who grew out of it when they got to like their late 20s. So they would tell lies, and they would expand upon things, and they would make they would make shit up essentially, to the point that one or two things in their life would come crashing down around their lies, and that would be the thing to shock them into changing their behaviour essentially, and not being that guy anymore. Some people never get it, and they ruin their entire lives by But think of all the times, right? Somebody's lied to you or blown smoke up your arse about something. It's okay being angry at them, but imagine being that person, always terrified that your lies are going to be found out, always terrified that people don't like you for you, they like you for the front you put up. Think about the broken person that is underneath. I am completely behind the thought that if somebody isn't broken inside, they don't lie. They don't need to, right? Especially not about stuff like this. Of course, there are malicious lies as well. Don't get me wrong, but like things like this, I mean, where you just want to be friends with people and you want to be liked. Yeah, that's a broken person, and eventually it will come back to haunt them, unfortunately. Anyway, around the same time, we would occasionally be bugged by some other kids in the year below, who would show up and wind us up for a bit before leaving. You know, the normal mouth-breather, anti-nerd stuff we are all heard as kids. Yeah, we've all had it, yeah. One day we went down to lunch during break and left our army set up in the game, as we had taken to spreading out a game over all the breaks in a week. That's pretty cool. Right, so you do a few moves in a break and then you come back. That's pretty cool. Johnny got his food first and took it back to the club room. But when Jake and I had got upstairs, when Jake and I had got upstairs, Johnny was there and all our models had been scattered across the room and a good half of mine and Jake's were broken. Mine were particularly fragile as at the time I would paint models before assembling them to get into the hard to reach places. But I stopped that about 7 to 8 years ago now. Johnny's were mostly just scattered though, with just the Stegodon having some of its base and having broken a ballista string. Okay. There were also some coded notes hidden around the room, which Johnny managed to decode fairly quickly, and that it seemed to be pointed at the few annoying kids I mentioned earlier. Though Jake and I both, after the day, were convinced that Johnny had broken them, which is why his stuff was relatively unharmed by comparison. We all managed to fix everything after, though. This nearly split us all up, but luckily I was talked around by Jake. Though to this day, Johnny insists it wasn't him. I just agreed and carried on, as it was the only thing that was permanently broken was an old metal Nurgle Chaos Lord on horse. We refer to this entire period of time as the Lizardmen incident to this day. Wow. After all this, Johnny seemed to have turned a new leaf, as we swapped to 40k at the tail of 6th edition. Though even though he wasn't cheating, I was squashed by his 7th edition Tau, as if he was still given. Sorry, some of the wording is a bit off. Okay, we refer to this entire time. Okay, I was still squashed by his 7th edition Tau, as if he still was given how OP they were at the time. Okay, cool. There was a brief resurface of this lizardmen behaviour years later, when Johnny's Blood Angels, where they seemed strong, but I wasn't suspicious at the time, until Jake discovered Wikipedia and realised half of his units were getting an extra attack or strength there, or 2 dreadnought weapon options would be merged into the best of both. Again, we called him out after spending the whole game before it, giving each other knowing looks whenever something wrong was done. After the game, Johnny got rather angry at this, as it was in front of a new friend of Jake's, who we were going to do a proper first game with. Yeah, it's never good to invite somebody new around and then accost somebody. It's not good. I mean, you're in the right, but, you know. I don't remember that guy doing much after that besides a large 2v2 Planet Strike game afterwards. Johnny insists the whole thing was accidental this time, and that he had simply misremembered his rules. We decided to count this as a final warning, as it was really starting to ruin things, and I was wanting to play games with Timmy at this point, and not really with Johnny. Fair enough. Following this, a new leaf was properly turned. Now Johnny is always willing to show rules whenever they come up, so we know it hasn't happened for years now. Games are also becoming a lot better now since we stopped to go and do Age of Sigmar a few years ago. Well, here you go. Age of Sigmar is a lot easier to remember. You know? This Johnny guy, I mean, if he did do that stuff with the models, that's, you know, that's therapy behaviour. Definitely, and I do think he did it. I'm with you as well. I do think he did it. Because no kids who are 14 go in and wreck somebody's stuff and then leave coded notes all over the place. Right? That's something that a liar would do to cover their tracks. They're going too far. Do you know what I mean? He's going too far in wanting to cover his tracks. So, you know, I believe he did that. But I also believe that a lot of the cheating that has been going on is him not remembering rules and just giving himself the benefit of the doubt with more powerful rules. And I think you're experiencing the turn in his behaviour because you're doing a much simpler game in Age of Sigmar that it's much easier to remember all of the rules to, you know? Anyway, moving on. I personally believe that the thing that kept us all together through this was the fact that we were all so engrossed in Warhammer and had spent so much money on it over the years that to stop seeing each other at this point would have felt like wasting it all. Johnny and I have a saying that just as all roads lead to Rome, all conversations eventually lead to Warhammer. So you can see how big a part of our lives it was, and Warhammer has definitely been the thing to keep us all in contact over the years since we left school, as once Jake left the hobby and moved to Gloucester, he has all but disappeared, and now never sees any of us. Oh, that's a shame, that's a shame. Johnny, Timmy and I still see each other on a weekly basis, and every Tuesday to play games of Age of Sigmar with another friend Timmy met at Warcry in his local GW group. The entire Lizardmen incident story I now see as a funny story to look back on. While Johnny doesn't like to talk about it, as he is rather ashamed in hindsight, Johnny and I are still best mates, to the point where we are each other's best men at our weddings next year. That's cool, man, that's cool. Glad he turned over a new leaf. And to those of you who do feel a bit broken, or maybe you have told lies in the past, and to make sure that people like you, just remember, as soon as Johnny stopped telling lies in this instance, he was liked. There you go. This story doesn't really paint Johnny in the best of light, but outside of this, he really is a legend, which is why we have stuck together so much. In all of our ups and downs, was a reason he stated for picking me as his best man. I wonder if I should mention this story in my speech. Probably not, mate. Probably not. If he doesn't like you talking about it, probably not. And there comes a time when, you know, I do get it as well. Like where you make a mistake and one person just won't stop bringing it up. That's happened with me in the past. You know, where like you kiss the wrong person, or you say the wrong thing, or you do whatever, and like one of your mates just won't let it go and like 10, 15 years later they're still, yeah, that grates on me. So maybe that's what he's doing. He wants to move on from that behaviour because he's not that person anymore, which is fair enough, you know. It's fair enough. Anyway, moving on. By the way, you only get forgiveness for these things if you change. If you don't change, you don't get forgiveness. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying just forgive people. That's not what I'm saying. If somebody does make an honest effort to change, and they do change for the better, yeah, give them a break. You know? Give them a break. We've all made mistakes. Staten says, or Staten? I'm going to call it Staten. Staten says, "Hey North, just here to go over an experience I had as a manager of a non-brand hobby store in the US. Okay. I'm originally from the UK, and the store is actually a business that is in my wife's family. I took it over when I moved here to be with her, and slowly built it piece by piece into a very profitable business. I like to think that we cultivated an awesome community. I used to work for Games Workshop back home in the UK, and actually ran a store, so having a new store to run that was not only my own, but a place where I could run non-Games Workshop products if I wanted to, was absolutely amazing. Wow, yeah, that must have been really, really thrilling and freeing, as the case may be. We had tournaments of all shapes and sizes in the store. We ran events, prize draws, and even had an amazing Dungeons and Dragons night on a Thursday in a back room of the store that has some of the best memories I've ever had as a nerd, to be honest. That's cool. So you met an American girl You go to America, they own a business, you turn it into a hobby store, and you turn it into a profitable business. Good lad. Good lad. Right, things were going great. Awesome. Until Clive came in. Clive was your stereotypical hobby douche. He didn't smell, but was very into giving his opinion on things that had nothing to do with him. Like, he would literally give someone he does not know advice about how to bring up their kid. I remember him talking to a hobby chad in the store called Mike, who was saying that he'd like his son to get into Warhammer as it's a good thing for a young lad to be into. Clive chirps up, wags his finger in the guy's face, and tells him he should let his son be himself, even if he wants to play with Barbies and things. Mike shrugged and said, "Okay, do you have a child?" "No," said Clive. "Then go fuck yourself," said Mike. Dude, do not fuck with dads who are overly stressed. It's just never gonna work. You're always gonna get short shrift. Never, ever, ever mess with dudes who have bags under their eyes because they've been looking after a child all day. I had to then field a written complaint from Clive sent to my in-laws directly, what a douche, the people who owned the building, about being sworn at in the store and how it was not a safe space, quote unquote. Yeah, him using terms like safe space already means he's a bit of a douche, to be honest with you. Now, my in-laws have no clue what a safe space is in the modern context, so they assumed I must be hosting gang members in there or something. Which I was not, of course, and after much explaining later, I calmed things down between them. Like, imagine starting shit with somebody's family. Oh my god. I wish I could say things with Clive went away after this, but if anything, his behaviour got worse. My in-laws had apologised on my behalf before I had a chance to explain things to them. After I did so, though, they took my side, but Clive saw this as some kind of victory that only emboldened his shithouse behaviour. His condescending tone was racketed up. It seemed he had been holding back in the previous weeks. He even joined the Dungeons and Dragons game and proceeded to very creepily play a transmorphing character. Nothing wrong there, right? No. So transmorphing is you can turn into things. People, stuff like that. Okay, cool. You're basically, what's her name? Not Mirage, what's her name? Mimic? I don't know. Jennifer Lawrence. You turn into Jennifer Lawrence from X-Men. I don't know, I'm not a comic book nerd, sue me. Well, Clive would transform into objects. Okay. Namely, the underwear of the female ranger in the party. Oh, no. No. You sick bastard. That's horrible. Obviously, the ranger, played by Sarah, our resident hottie, but really cool chick who was good at knocking dudes back, but still being really good friends to everybody, including them. Obviously, she did not want to put this underwear on. Thing is, there is no reason why her character wouldn't in the game. That's true. It's true. Why wouldn't you put your underwear on in the game, you know? The DM, another local Chad, tries to get her out of it by rolling a perception check. She succeeds, and realises something is very wrong with this set of underwear. Clive flips out, calling out the table for metagaming and throwing insults at the DM for being a piece of shit who is really possessive. Which is weird because DM and Sarah were not and have never dated. I was called into the room, and when I finally saw who had caused the commotion, I literally pointed at Clive, pointed to my front door and said, "Get the fuck out of my store and don't ever come back." Lovely. Good for you. Left with no recourse, Clive cussed us all out, packed up his stuff, and left. This is not the end of the story, however. It gets a lot worse. Oh my god, how worse? Do I want to read on? A few weeks later, I get an alert on my phone in the evening whilst watching The Mandalorian with my wife on the couch. The security alarm at the store has been tripped. I head down there in the car, and I can see the smoke long before I get there. Oh no. It takes me about 30 minutes to drive to the store. I call the fire department and they come and put out the fire. Someone had broken into the back storeroom, thrown gasoline everywhere, and torched the inside. Oh shit. Just the storeroom though. It didn't reach the front of the store. They had destroyed all of my stock. Oh no. The store would be closed for the foreseeable future. If this all ties in, I'm going to be really annoyed. If this all ties in to you-know-who, I'm going to be really annoyed. Luckily for us, my in-laws are property lawyers and had amazing insurance even against arson. This paid out and we were able to get the store back up and running in a few months. And Games Workshop, bless them, were one of the companies to really step up and give us a load of stock for free to get us back up and running. That's cool, man. That's so cool. They literally filled out my stockroom to the point I had to turn back orders from other companies for a bit. So, things got back to normal eventually. That few months, though, were absolute hell. We almost lost our place as our record of income was gone. Me and my wife had to pick up part-time work just to keep the lights on, and relied on loans from family members and friends. It was the darkest period of my life, dude. I'm so sorry. When the store reopened, it was an early summer day, and it felt like the worst was over. And it was. It was a huge success. Awesome, dude. And you're so lucky to have, like, in-laws who are, you know, actual property lawyers, because they will have really good insurance. Wow. A week or two later, I am still riding high. And he walks in. Clive. Now, I am determined to be good to this guy, as to be honest, I see things as water under the bridge, and getting my store back has made me see how petty certain things are. That's pretty cool of you, man. He spends a bit of time in the store, is a little subdued, which is fair enough. Maybe he's just trying to turn over a new leaf. He heads out after a few hours after buying a white dwarf. Fair enough. That weekend, I am playing at a local bolt action event. I am one of those Uber nerds. And Clive is also there. We say our hellos and actually kind of get on. That's cool. He seems to have grown a little. He places his army next to mine as we are paired up for a team game. At one point, I look at the back of one of his boxes and I just get a sick feeling out of nowhere. A guilty feeling that I'm suspecting this guy of being an arsonist or something. I laughed to myself and just shook it off. Or tried to. The feeling kept growing within me, however. In the end, though, I caved and took a photograph of the stock ID number on the back of the box and sent it to my wife, asking her to check it against our lost stock itinerary. I play the rest of the game, sure nothing will come of it. We win and are about to go our separate ways to play other opponents when I get a text from my wife. It reads, "It matches. In fact, all 3 of the codes you sent match. Who the fuck are you talking to? You need to get out of there and call the cops." Oh my god. Oh my giddy fucking aunt. Wow. This is like CSI. This is great. Okay. The bottom falls out of my stomach. Yeah, no shit. I ask if I can have a quiet word with Clive. He goes white. Yeah, no shit. He knows, man. Like, he knows. And he came back to your store and he looked glum because he's inspecting the damage. He's returned to the scene of the crime. That's what he's done. Oh my god. He goes white, packs up his army and tries to leave. Oh shit. I follow him to his car, and before he gets in, I finally snap on this snivelling coward. I hold the door to his car closed as he tries to open it and say right into his face, I am going to call the cops. If I ever see your face again, here, at my store, or any event I am at, I am going to fucking kill you. Fair warning. At which point, I let him get into his car and speed off. Wow. Okay. My wife already called the cops, and I explained everything to them when they turned up. They gave me a stern talking to about threatening people's lives, as that could really bite me in the arse if he went and did something stupid in the meantime. Yeah, it could. And good on those police for, like, telling you that as well. These guys look like they're playing the game. They look, you know what I mean? They also chased him down, scared the bejesus out of him, confiscated his stolen goods, but could not prove that he had taken them from the fire. He told them he'd found them in a dumpster near the store. Likely story. We have cameras at the back of the store, but all it caught of the arsonist was a balaclava, all black clothes and black gloves. When the cops searched his place, they found nothing. His car, nothing. He had done a thorough job of covering his tracks, it seems. Happily, the cops warned him to stay away from me, my wife, and my store, and advised him to not attend any events that I might be at in the future. I have not seen Clive since, and as far as I am aware, his current place of residence is now empty. That is my story. Hope you enjoyed it. Names are, of course, changed. Staten. Oh my Jesus Christ. So it seems to me the cops, like, know it was him, but they can't prove it was him. So instead they just tell him to stay away from you. They can't actually do that. They can't, I don't think they can actually tell people to stay away from a certain place unless there's, like, a restraining order or some, like, actual crime has been committed. But it seems to me that they've just scared him and, like, said, yeah, but they're not enforcing the law here, but they're warning him to stay away from wherever you are. I mean, good on them, and good on them for getting the stolen goods out of his house. Fuck this guy. Honest to God. Is this the worst customer I think we've ever come? I think it is. I think this is the worst human being. We had a set of human beings in Pirate King's video, which were really something else. But I think in terms of, like, a normal quote-unquote customer in a hobby store, I think this is the worst one we've ever read. I think this is the worst guy we've ever read about. I mean, I know people will say, well, you don't know it was him. Come on, dude. Come on. We know it was him. Come on. It's from the evidence that we're given here. It's him. Let's be honest. What a sick piece of shit. Because he's like, if you the minute you do anything to him in a lawful way, you say, listen, mate, can you not talk to people like that? He goes after your family. He did it straight away. He went after your in-laws straight away. This guy's sick. This guy's fucking sick. He went after your in-laws straight away and tried to get you into trouble, tried to close your business. When that didn't work, he was creepy to somebody in the store, really creepy. You tell him to get out, and he responds by trying to burn your fucking store down. This guy's dangerous. If you ever see this guy again, call the cops. Wherever he is, call the cops. If he's ever around you again, call the cops. I'm telling you now. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He could be in a shop somewhere. If he's in your local area and you see him, call the cops. Right? Do not trust this guy to not just get a weapon out and chase you. Because this is the kind of guy that will, right? He could be there just looking at things in the store, or he could be there, you know, with a knife under his jacket or something about to go kamikaze on you. You don't know. You just don't know. This is a broken person. Oh my days. I don't envy you, man. But hopefully, because this place is empty, he's fucked off and gone elsewhere now, and he's going to leave you alone. But eventually, this guy's going to snap and kill somebody. That's just how it's going to happen. That's how it's going to happen. Anyway, those are the hobby nightmares for today. That was a doozy. I don't know how I'm going to top that one. If you can top that one, send it in to me and I'll read it this week. We'll get all the really big ones out of the way this week. Oh my god. If you don't want to send me any hobby nightmares, the email address is down below. I need to recover from that. I'm going to go drink some Horlicks or coffee or something and just chill. Oh my god. Love you all a long time. I will be back tomorrow with my favourite Space Marine chapters, and then we'll be doing some more hobby nightmares, some more 10th edition videos, and all that other good stuff towards the middle of the week. Love you all a long time. Speak to you then. Have a good one. See ya. Bye.